coming. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Because you definitely for today may be tuning in from somewhere in the world that is not where I am. And I'm so excited for that. So, off top, happy International Women's Day. And welcome to LinkedIn Live with Nana. I'm so excited for today because I have a special guest in the building. You see her fabulous face on the screen already. But before I introduce her formally, y'all already know if you are here live, drop that in the chat. Let me know who's in the building. Um, Let me know where you're listening in from and say hello because we definitely want y'all all the way engaged and being participating in this discussion and in this conversation because y'all know how we flow. Like I want to see some yes girls and all the things up in the chat. Oh, we got Anika in the building already. One of my favorite people in the
Me
world.
too.
Kisses.
Monica.
Cynthia, good morning. How are you? I love it. I love it. I love it. So keep it going. And you already know too, if you're catching this on the replay a little later, drop replay in the comments that we know you are tuning in. Okay. We Philly in the building. Good morning to Shauna coming in from Houston, Texas. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, well, listen, y'all. Let me just like put the flowers and give the shine to Janine Esbrand. She is an executive coach. She's also my friend.
She's my friend.
Oh my gosh, because y'all know I just really want to like put the spotlight on people that I know personally who are doing phenomenal, amazing things. And especially because it is Women's History Month and it is International Women's Day, we have to shout out and give flowers to the people that we know who are phenomenal. And so today we are doing just that. So, Janine Esbrand is the founder of Career Changemakers, a coaching and consulting company which helps high achieving women increase career fulfillment and helps companies to nurture and develop their female talent. Janine is also a TEDx speaker. If you haven't seen her TED Talk, make sure you go to her website because it is linked there and it's fire. And she brings her passion for career development and advancement to organizations and conferences around the world through dynamic keynote presentations. When she's not coaching or speaking, Janine can be found spending time with her husband and her two young children who are incredibly adorable and energetic. And right, that part. And so, without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Janine.
Oh, thank you so much, Nana. I appreciate you giving me my flowers
Yes.
and sharing such a lovely introduction. And I'm super excited to be here today. And
Yes.
International Women's Day, so we should all be pumped.
We should be pumped, right? If you are a woman, like, let's go. We've got Lucretia here coming in from Charlotte. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so listen, y'all. She's a career coach. She's a career development expert. She's an executive coach. She's worked with, I don't even know what the number count is at this point, but multiple women across the globe because Janine is based in UK. Okay. I won't say London, but I'll just keep it to UK. Is that
Yeah,
cool?
yeah, because outside of London. So
Right?
yeah.
Outside of London, if we want to get specific. But she has been dedicating her work to really helping women figure out how to take the next bold move in their career. And so, Janine, I'm just curious about the fears, right? So, our conversation today is all about fear or courage, how you want to stop hiding and start owning your career. So, in your experience, what are women most afraid of when they are thinking about things in their career like asking for more money,
Mm.
asking for the raise? What are the fears that are coming up?
I think there's a few things that come up. One is people fear so much what other people will think. So when they think about, if it's asking for a raise, it's like, oh, what will they think of me? Will they think that I'm greedy? Will they think that I'm asking for too much? Like, what will they think of me prevents them from then taking the step. There's also the fear of failure.
Mm.
What if it doesn't work out? What if I don't do it? And then the other one, which is a sneaky one, which is one that people often overlook, but is very common amongst high achieving women, is the fear of success. Because when you are operating how you've been operating, you get to a stage where you're in your comfort zone, right? And you
Mhm.
have a goal and you set a goal and you say, oh, I'd love to be up here or I'd love to be over there. The fear comes in when it's like, okay, but if I actually achieve that, that means everything that I now know to be true and real needs to change, including me and how I show up. So you can want the
Mm.
goal and really, really want it, but you can still have resistance because it's like, oh, but if I get it, what does that then
Mhm.
mean? Who am I? How do I show up? What will my friends think? What will my family think? How will people treat?
Mm.
And that can sometimes be a bigger fear that holds people back than the fear of failure. And I've noticed that as a pattern amongst clients where I'm like, everything's lined up. Like all you got to do is go take the step. And they're like, yeah,
Right.
and it's like, what's going on? And you're like, but if I do that, then this happens and this. And it's like, yeah. So we have to dig into what is the actual fear that's holding us back so we can address it correctly and not misdiagnose what's going on for you. So those are like the three
Mm.
come up. And people also, there's another thing around guilt. Like if you
Okay.
hard to get into a role that maybe it's hard to get into. So say for me, when I was in my legal career, not
Mhm.
everyone gets to make it as a lawyer because the bar to entry is high. So
Right.
if you've got over that bar and you've managed to achieve something, and then you're saying, actually, I don't want this, there's
Mhm.
guilt around that. Like there's so many people that would love to be in my shoes. Who am I to then give this up? But it's like, yeah, but it's your journey and it might have been for a time and now it's some time to do something else, or now it's time to step up. And it's about addressing why you're feeling that guilt and then how you can really be thinking about what you actually want versus what you think you should want.
Ooh. I know some things hit me in the throat that Janine said. I don't know about y'all, but if there's some things that are hitting you, definitely pop those hearts on the screen. Let her know. Let her know in the chat what is resonating with you, and definitely share what experiences that you have had around fear in
Mm,
growing in your own career, because y'all know we this is a community up in here, so definitely share what other insights you've had with your neighbor, because you never know the thing that's going to be said to somebody that's going to ignite them today to
yeah.
take an action or believe a more with more conviction in themselves, right? You just never know what's going to be said. Hey Keisha. um
Yeah,
so
I think
yeah,
so.
go
In
ahead.
terms of fear, I think there's been fear at various points of the journey. So when I was first starting out as a lawyer, like on my legal career, fear because I didn't know what I was doing. I had no other people around me who were lawyers. It was
Right.
literally like I've decided I'm going to do this thing, and now I need to figure it out. So there was always that low key like imposter syndrome of like, am I supposed to be here? One,
Mm,
because it's like there aren't any other lawyers that I know, but I've made it in. And two,
right.
no one else looks like me. No one else looks like me. So am I actually supposed to be here? So there
Right.
was the fear around, am I going to be able to show up well? And am I going to be able to prove myself? And I
Yeah.
think what I had to lean into or what I had to get to was, okay, what are you good at? Where are your strengths? And then how can you leverage those to support you in achieving your goals? So as a lawyer, there was in my mind, it was like, okay, if I'm a lawyer, I must act like this. I must show up
Yeah.
like this. This is what a lawyer
Yes.
does.
Yes.
And I'm naturally like a goofy person. I'm naturally like, I like to laugh. I love people. I love
Right.
conversation. When I thought of like a typical lawyer, I thought serious suit, like,
Ooh, talk about it. Talk about that archetype. Come
and
on.
first I was trying to do that. Like I'm in the suit and I'm in there and I'm just trying to like be on my P's and Q's. But then I was like, I'm here every day. Like I can't, I've got to be me.
Mm.
I've got to be
Ooh,
me. right? And then what I realized was, in being me, I was able to build relationships and cultivate community within the law firms that I worked at to my advantage. So I was a corporate lawyer, and part of being a corporate lawyer, if you're working on a corporate transaction, you are the person that brings everything together. So you need to liaise with the property lawyers and the employment lawyers and the finance people. You need to liaise with lots of different people to bring
Mm-hmm.
information together, so you can then
Mm-hmm.
present it to the client and say, okay, this company that you're buying, here's the due diligence. All of our
Yeah.
experts have told us what you need to be thinking about. So I leaned into the fact that I like people to build relationships, so that when I needed my report done, I'm like, hey, Julie,
Yeah.
getting me. And because we built a
Yeah.
relationship already, my report would get prioritized above other associates.
Yes.
So I realized that, yes, I need to be on the technical side, know what I'm doing, but because I'm naturally a people person, I can use that to my advantage. And the more that I did that, the more confident I was in holding my space in the space that I was in. So that was like the fear there. And I think
Mm-hmm.
as I progressed throughout my career, I was making different decisions. At
Mm.
first, I wanted to be a partner. When I had
Mm.
my son and I became a mum, I was like, I don't know if I want that, because I want to be there. I don't want to be working 16-hour days. I don't want to be working.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't love it enough. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it enough for the sacrifice that would come if I decided
Mm.
to continue on that path. So then there
Yeah.
was fear around, okay, are you really going to step off the path that you decided to be on and do something else?
Right.
And I decided, like I need to toss it up. What is the most important thing for me now? What is my motivator? What are my values? And what decision is most aligned? And
Mm.
I left private practice and worked in-house as a lawyer and kind of rejigged my legal career. And then when I decided that I wanted to start a business, there was like, could I do that? Who else has done that? Why are you trying to do that when you got a newborn baby? Are you crazy? Like, and then I'm like, but then why
Right.
not? But then why
Right. Why not?
not? And so
Why not?
I just kind of just often just when fear comes up, it's really assessing it and being like, okay, what's the worst that can happen?
Hmm.
What's the best that can happen? Which path do you want to take?
That second one.
Right?
What is the best that could happen? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, because we got to pause the tape and rewind, because we got to break down what you just shared, especially as you broke it down in terms of your own personal journey, right? And how you faced your own fears, because we all have the fears, right? Keisha said fear is a beast for real. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
is real. Like, everyone experiences fear, period, right? It doesn't matter what level you are, it doesn't matter what you're doing. We all experience some level of fear. But like Janine is saying, it's really how you are, how you're like really, I feel like, assessing it and receiving it, and then what you decide to do with the fear, because you got to move forward with the fear regardless, right? But I love what you said. I loved a lot of things that you said, but in particular some things around, even at the top when you mentioned other people's opinions, right? And what other people think, and how much that can drive so much fear in us to say, well, I'm in this field, I'm an attorney for yourself, I'm a Black woman, I don't see too many other of Black women in this space either. So then fear comes in. Well, what will people think? Am I qualified enough? Do I belong here? Right? And then it's just like a trickle down effect after
Mm-hmm.
that. But then, in spite of that, though, I feel like what I heard from you is like you really checked into what makes you unique, what makes you special, right? That authenticity factor. And that became an engine for you to build up your confidence. And y'all already know how I feel about that element of authenticity, and how much that goes hand in hand with confidence.
Yeah.
And just seeing the way that Janine flipped it in terms of her career, how she flipped it for herself and said, well, I'm a people person, so let me bring that to the table. Because y'all know, listen, lawyers, come on, the archetype, it is like the way that lawyers dress. You're like, okay, this is about to be stuffy and conservative. Like,
Mm,
you see that gray suit, you see navy blue suit. You're like, oh, there's not a splash of color. Like, people don't color outside of the lines, right? You're gonna get deemed as being unprofessional oftentimes if you do so, right? And so it's so, I think, refreshing to hear that you were in that space and you still found ways to bring more of your personality to the table. I think that's really, really huge for folks as a takeaway, to know that you can do that in what is one of the most conservative, or perceived as, and I think, definitely is conservative of industries.
mm.
Um, you know, so if you feeling the authenticity, drop the authenticity in the chat. Put authenticity up in the chat, my people. Um, but I think that is so huge. Okay, so you talked about, like, through your own journey, and I'm sure with the women that you work with,
Mhm.
the identity shifts that
Yes,
have to happen,
yes.
right? Like, as you're experiencing this fear, and maybe imposter syndrome is setting in, and you're self-doubting, and but you want more. You want the partner. You want the director. You want the promotion. You want the raise. But you're like, okay, if I want that, then what's required of me to achieve that?
Mhm.
So, talk to us about what kind of identity, shifts happen.
Yeah. So I think the big thing is, often when people are thinking about career development or advancing, where they want to get to, what they want to do, they think in terms of what they need to do, right? What do I need to do? I need to get my head down. I need to bring in more clients. I need to understand this more. I need to do these things, right?
Right.
But the big piece that is missing is, who do you need to be in order
Right.
for you to operate at the level that you now want to operate at? Who do you want to be? Or who do you need to be?
Yeah.
Because the type of person that you are, and that, that includes the habits that you have, that includes a mindset that you have, which is a big part of it. Like, it's going to be different at that next level. So rather
Yeah.
than just thinking about what I need to do, I also need to work on, who do I need to become in order for me to actually fully embrace the version of me that I need to be in that new role, or
Yeah.
at that new level. And I think that piece is often overlooked, because that takes work. Because when
Yes.
there's a shift in identity, it's hard. So when I went from being a lawyer to being a coach, it was so hard
Mm,
for me to even just call myself a coach. I
right.
would say I'm a coach and a lawyer, because I was both at one point. And then when I
Yes.
was full time into being a coach, I would say I'm a coach and I used to be a lawyer, because my
Oh.
so wrapped up in being a lawyer, because it took
I
so
see.
long to get there. There's a level of prestige or accolade, whatever it is, right, that comes with you reaching certain levels. So,
Yeah.
like, for me to completely step away from that and be like, who is Janine without the lawyer title? Like, can I just sit in being me? Can I actually?
Mm.
And
Mm.
that was a shift, and it wasn't easy. It was like, this doesn't feel comfortable, because now I'm in new.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I'm no longer the person that everybody identified me as.
Yeah.
So then now it's like, well, how am I going to be showing up when I
Yeah.
take away all of the layers and the mask and all the things? Who is it? Who am I? Like,
Yes.
without the title, who are you? And then when you're thinking about the next title, how do you want to be showing up? How do you need to show
Yeah.
up? And that is the work. Like, that is the, when we're working with clients who are looking at stepping up in their careers, or looking at really making bold moves, it's
Mhm.
around, like, some of the things that you believed about yourself, the beliefs that you have around what is possible. You might have to let some of those things go and
Mm.
embrace new beliefs, so that you're able to move forward.
Listen, this chunk right here is gold. It's gold, y'all. And it's so applicable to you wherever you are, and especially for women,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I just feel like that identity piece. I mean, as people, we do that, right? We label folks and we're like, I have to segment you in my brain and know where you fall. Like that helps me process how I interact with you, how I think about you, all of the things. Um, but then for women, I think a lot of times, especially because we hold so many different roles, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
personally, professionally, you're the mother, you're the friend, you're the daughter, you're the caretaker, you're all those things. And then of course in your profession, you're like, okay, what's my identity here? And if I want to, and if I want more, how does that have to shift and emerge and grow? And it's uncomfortable. Like, like, can we talk about how uncomfortable
Listen,
the sit back? It's the sit back for me. Okay.
listen.
Like, can we talk about how uncomfortable it is?
It is very and the reason why people don't do this, the work around this and push through the resistance, is because it's so uncomfortable. Like, it's so uncomfortable to think that, okay, I've been operating in a certain way for a certain length of time, this is what I know, and now you're asking me to step outside my comfort zone and view myself differently, understand myself at a different level, like have the level of self-awareness to even know your preferences. Like, how do
Right.
you like to show up? Not how you've been told to show up. How do you actually like to show up? What
Ooh,
does that even look like? Right? What does that even look like? It's like,
ooh.
oh, when you're in corporate or when you're in a certain role, this is how you operate. So you learn that. Like, learn
Yes.
behaviors. This is how I'm supposed to show up. This is what I do. But that might not actually be aligned with your preference.
Go. Okay. Can we talk about that learned behavior element, y'all? How many of y'all, like, raise your hands, right? How many behaviors around what is acceptable, appropriate, or professional did you feel like you learned along the way that you're now unlearning?
Mhm.
If you're unlearning some things, drop unlearn in the chat,
Yeah.
because that's what I'm hearing Janine share as well, is that there's so many things that you hear around what you have to do in order to climb the coveted corporate ladder. And then you start to realize that some of those things, like you said, that doesn't align with me. And so I'm actually going to have to do things a little differently.
Yeah.
Right?
That might mean that you need to climb a different ladder. That
Mhm.
might mean you need to be in a different environment, because sometimes people will say things and we take it as, oh, that's what it means across the board. But like,
Right.
one of the things when people are saying, oh, what will people think? I like to challenge people to say, what people? Who are the people? Like, we talk about what will people think, which people? Because we make it broad brush, but what these type of people think versus what these, like, depending on who it is you're trying to impress or who it is
Yes.
you're trying to influence, like,
Yes.
your actions might need to change. But when we're broad brush, what will people think? It's like, who are the people? Like, we need to know who we're trying to influence, right? Because sometimes
Yes.
we don't, when you think about it, you're like, I don't actually care what those, those people think,
You
right?
tell. Come on. Come on. Like, you already saw me. I had to lean all the way into the camera because what people like,
People.
y'all, this is the thing. Like, I mean, if you know and you've been following my content, like, you are clearly going to be following Janine Esbrand if you don't already. But there's so many parallels to the message and to the development of you as a person and your identity, and releasing the fears and embracing more courage around how you see yourself so that you can show up more strongly. Like, people all the time, well, I don't know what people will think, Nona, if I'm going to wear some bright purple lipstick. Well, I don't know what they're going to think if I'm, wearing like a red blouse. Like, it's going to draw a lot of attention. Which people exactly told you that that was going to be problematic? Which person, what did they say? Who said the
Mhm.
thing? And is that true? One. And if the person did say something, is what they said truth? Is that gospel? Like, is that the truth, right?
Mhm.
Like we can take, and I think that's a thing. I think that's a thing for women that, we like we, and let's segue it actually into this courage piece, because there's a level of like nuck if you buck that we gotta have to like some of this stuff that people be coming at you with. Okay.
But even with the what will people think? The crazy thing about that is whether or not they think the lipstick is too bright or not, will you ever know? Because people don't always say it. So we're worried about what people will think, but you can't even judge what people are thinking, because sometimes what they say is not what they thought. So why am I getting caught up on what people will think? Will I even know what they think? And then there's the people that have something to say, and then it's like, well, do I take what you say? Do I receive it? Or like, that's your opinion, that's nice. I like my lipstick. So like what
So let's get started for today's meeting. I love it. Listen, we got a whole bunch of happy International Women's Days popping off in the chat. People say that's right. Drop these gems. Hey, Portia. Good morning, Dr. Akina. Is it Akina? Akina? You let me know. But hello to you from Nashville. Tashana is saying unlearn. She feels you.
Mm.
And we got some make your own tables happening. Hey Carly, how you doing? So people are definitely feeling it. Like y'all already know, drop the hearts on the screen. If you know that this is hitting you and you're doing some this is either going to give you some inspiration to jumpstart what you're already doing, or it's going to give you a moment of pause to reassess what you really need to do. Okay, so this is the kick in the pants with love. um so we were already kind of talking about that authenticity
Mhm.
element, and the role that it plays for women as they're navigating their careers, and you shared that from your own experience. I'm wondering, like it is kind of maybe even a two for here, but how important that authenticity piece is into the work, especially as you're thinking about navigating a career change, and then how much, like how do you really build up the courage, and it's some of these words that we say, like, well, I need to have more courage, I need to have more
Mhm.
confidence, but for a lot of people it doesn't just come easily, it doesn't come naturally, right? And I always say, like, confidence is built, it's not birthed. Everybody doesn't just have it as a DNA trait, right? But it is something that you can work at. So talk to us about how you work with and coach your clients to like crank up the courage muscle as they're thinking about all of these fears.
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of the like thinking about where you are and being authentic, like what does that even mean? Like being
Yeah.
authentic is about bringing the true you to the fore. But
Mm-hmm.
in order for you to bring it and demonstrate it, you need to know it. A lot of the times we haven't spent the time to like really be self-aware about what
Yeah.
it is we bring to the table.
Yeah.
And so I really talk to people about taking an inside out approach to career development. So rather than looking at opportunities, oh, that sounds nice, that sounds nice, that sounds good, let's take the time to dive deep so that you actually have a criteria by which you can judge opportunities. Like my criteria, like I need to be in a space that allows me to leverage my strengths that I'm
Yes.
interested in, where I see I can make impact, and then I can go out and look at opportunities that are going to fit that bill.
Yes.
Um, and I think when it comes to courage and confidence, you're right, it does come from doing. It doesn't come from like, oh, I want to feel more confident. It's like the more you do something and the more you show up and you exercise that muscle, you feel more confident in it because you've got experience doing it. But you
Yes.
can't get it's like, I'm not going to be a confident pianist because I can't play the piano. I will
Mm.
be confident when I can play it and I can play it well.
Mm-hmm.
Confident piano player, right? A pianist.
Yeah.
And so I think it's about recognizing that we need to not be waiting until we have the feeling of confidence or courage, but we need to like take steps, and in taking the steps you're going to develop and you're going to grow in terms of courage. And I know that there is resistance around, oh, like, do I actually do it, or how do I commit to doing the thing know I need to do. And I
Yeah.
think having a purpose around what you're doing
Mm.
and being clear on
Mm-hmm.
that is helpful. So when you think about your values and what you're driven by, if
Mm-hmm.
you're driven by making impact, and you know that the work that you're going to be doing is going to allow you to make the impact, like allow that to be your motivation. Like in those
Yeah.
moments where you're like, I don't know if I can do this, man, I don't know, it's like, okay,
Right.
why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So when I think about, there might be days where I'm like, I don't want to do a live stream, I don't want to go live, or I don't want to do this thing. And then I think about, hold on, but there might be one person who needs
Ooh.
support, needs my help, and if I don't show up, they can't find me. And so I'm going to show up, even if I stumble over my words, even if I don't say it correctly, even if there's tech issues, I'm going to do that.
Yes. Because really, and this is for all my recovering perfectionists in the building, like that, I feel like that is something that a lot of women struggle with, and that prevents you from, like you're saying, taking action, taking the next step, being more courageous, because you're like, what if I don't get it right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you spiral into all of the horrible things that are going to happen. That's not real. It's not based in the reality. It's based in the fear
Story.
world,
The
right?
story that we tell ourselves.
Right. Right. But like you were saying, I mean, that, I threw that banner up around that inside out approach. And the more you dive into having clarity, because I know
Mm-hmm.
that's something that you help a lot of clients understand around being clear on your values, right? Like, I don't know if you all caught that, but Janine has shared that a couple of times in this conversation around what your values are, and knowing what they are, because that's what you're rooted in. If
Mm-hmm.
you value community, if you value your family, if you value whatever your trait or your skill is, like it, you must know, like it you what's the adage, like, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't have any values out here, like, you won't even know, you won't even have the ability to take the next step to say, this is what I want to do, because you won't know the thing you want to do. And you're going to constantly be like, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure it out. Stop it. Stop saying that. Stop saying, I don't know. Stop saying, I'm just trying to figure it out, because you do know. You really do. Right. But you really got to take some time, that self discovery element, and say, okay, what do I value? What do I really want? I
Mm-hmm.
was watching a video the other day, and Oprah was like, I think it was an interview that she was doing with Trevor Noah back in the day when he was hosting the Daily Show. And she said the most important question you can ask yourself is, what do I want?
Yeah. It's such a hard question.
It's hard.
You know why? You like when you ask yourself the question, it's like not what do I think I can have? Like, what do you want? Because what we do is we're like, well, I don't think it's gonna be possible for me to do that, or I haven't seen anyone do that before. Someone like me can't do that. So then I'm gonna actually lesser the thing that I want, because I don't think that I can actually get that there. So I will say what I want is this when really I want that.
Yes.
It's a big question.
That's a big question and a big distinction. What do I want versus what do I think? I want to catch it again the way that you phrased it. What do I
Yeah, what do
want?
you want rather than what do I think I can get?
What do I think I can get? What
Yes.
do I want? What do I think I can get? Actually, that's the exercise. Like, if you are watching this, I want you to do this exercise. Take a sheet of paper, draw a line down the center. On the left, what do I want? On the right, what do I think I can have?
Hmm.
And I guarantee you're going to see where the fear and the limitation and the limiting beliefs are coming up.
Yeah. 100%.
if you're gonna do that, drop a 100 in the chat if you're gonna take on that challenge. Um, and if you do take on that challenge, uh, DM Janine, DM me, and let me know that you did it and what your biggest takeaway was from that exercise. Um, because that's huge. That's huge. Portia saying, move with a heart to serve and remove yourself from ego. When you
Yes.
do lead with that heart to serve,
Yes.
things do come with ease. Okay. Tashana says, never conform to what you think people want for you. Conformity is such a dangerous and dirty
And you know
word.
what? Can I just speak on that a second? Because people are fickle too, right? People change. Like,
Yes.
I remember back in the day, I was gonna get locks, right? And
Yes.
I had locks for about 8 years, right? But before I got them, my friend, one particular friend, she was like, "No, don't get locks, Janine. No, don't do it." Da, 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 da. I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." I did it. I had my locks. They were beautiful. I used to plait them and they were crinkly, whatever. Same person. I love how you do your locks. Fast forward, Mana. Yeah. 2022. Did this same person not just get locks? And 10 years ago, no, 12, when back in this was back in 2007, right? So it was a good while ago that she was saying that.
Right.
I did my whole locks thing. I got my locks. I took my locks out. And now, fast forward to 2023, she has locks. So listen, the same people that you're worried about, they change their minds, okay? So let's not be too concerned about what people think today, because tomorrow they might think something else.
Listen, people.
I was like,
Oh my
okay.
gosh. The message is so clear. And like, oh my gosh. It's just the amount of time and energy that you could really give so much to caring with like a heavy weight and deep intention around what people think. And like you're saying, like people say things, sometimes people say things haphazardly.
Yep.
People have a bunch of opinions. It does not mean anything. It does not have to affect you deep down to your core.
Yeah.
Okay. People in the chat saying, listen, people change. People hashtag people change their
They
mind.
do.
People change their mind.
And it's so annoying if you have not done something or you have reworked your plan based on someone
Mhm.
else's opinion and then their opinion changes. It's like, where does that leave you? You're just swaying in the wind. Why are we swaying?
Yeah.
Let's be rooted in like, okay, what are you about? And yes, I'm not saying that you can't take advice from other people. I'm not saying that you're like just on your own on an island, but
Right.
it's important about to think about who am I taking advice from and what opinions am I taking on board when. Like it's not that every
Yeah.
opinion needs to be taken on board all the time. So it's being
That
able to
part.
decipher that.
Yes, the discernment, people, the discernment,
Yeah.
like that, and I think that goes to that being something that only comes with when you're taking actions and probably taking like big, bold actions.
Yeah.
Because when you're not doing anything, ain't nobody care. Because ain't nobody checking for you. They're like, who? What's her name? Oh, is she here today? I didn't even notice her. Right? Like, because you just are still so rooted and you got 2 feet planted in the fear zone, you got 2 feet planted in everybody else's opinions. So that's making you can't even take action, right? Like you're stuck. But when you start to move past that and you actually start doing things and you're like, you know what? I'm about to go talk to this person about going to get this promotion because I deserve it and I want it. That was
Mhm.
one of the things on the want side of the column. Okay. And you start speaking up and asserting yourself and letting your presence be known, taking up space. Stop wearing those crusty khaki suits and start to get some fuchsia popping in your life. I just had to drop that in because I am who I am. Um,
Oh,
and just showing up more like yourself, people would be like, oh, wow, okay. Now I have an opinion because you've given me something to have an opinion about.
yes.
Right? But you decide. You decide whether you take on the opinion. That's your choice.
100%.
Listen, people, if you know you over other people's opinions, drop over it. Because I'll be over it. I'll be over it. Because this is our day. This is our month. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, listen, it's our time all the time. Like, let's just be honest. But in particular, during this moment, like,
Yeah.
allow these spaces and these times to fuel you, to like really help you find the community, take the action, do the things that you need to do to move your career in the next direction. So let's talk about even some of your own decisions and investments that you've made in
Mm,
your own career, because you talked about how you know you were a full-time attorney, right? So you were a lawyer, and then you made that tradition and you adopted that identity change for yourself and said, okay, no, I am a coach. I am coaching people, an executive and career coach. Like, I'm going to adopt that identity also, right? As you're making your own shifts in your career, what strategic investments did you make and decide to do?
yeah. So firstly, when I went to like this 2-day seminar around coaching and realized that there's this whole industry that I didn't know anything about, and was like, oh, I feel like I've always been a coach. I've always been that person to be like, hey, glass half full, let's not have a pity
Mhm.
party. Like, how are we moving forward? What's the strategy?
Right.
So the first thing, like when I realized that this was a whole thing, is I invested in becoming a certified coach. And I did my training and stuff alongside my legal career, and then started coaching people on the side. When it came time for me to then say, okay, I want to turn this into a business, what I realized was, okay, I've learned the skill of coaching. I've learned
Mm-hmm.
how to start honing my craft, but I don't know nothing about the business side. Like, I don't know how to sell this. I don't know how to find the people. I know nothing about that. And so the next investment was like, oh, now I need to invest in the business side of things. And I think this is relevant for anyone in their careers. It's like there should be two tracks at all times. It's the,
Mm.
what am I doing to hone my craft and my expertise? And then what am I doing to position myself and to develop in my career or in my business? Like, that's two different things. And so when it came to business, I invested in courses, I invested in coaching programs to learn, like how to position my coaching. I
Yeah.
invested in, like, the biggest investment that I made in my business was the most impactful one. And that was when I joined Leverage, which is the program where we met.
Hey, hey, hey! Shout
Thank you,
out to Jerisha.
Hawk. Thank you for bringing us together. Um,
Right.
but that is the program that I joined to learn how to take my coaching, which I was doing one-to-one, and how to package it into a group program. And I launched a group program and ran that for a few years, and had a good, like, I would say well over 50 women that went through that program,
Mm-hmm.
and supported them with making career transitions. So
Yeah.
I think for me, I've always been open to investing to get the knowledge that I need to accelerate my results. Like, I could be out
Mm.
here trying to figure out all the things, or I could pay someone who already knows how to do it to guide me and give me the proven path, so that I don't have to make unnecessary mistakes. And so, yeah, and I will say that along the journey of investing in myself, I've also built community. I've also met
Yes.
people like you and
Yes.
like so many other amazing women who are like-minded in terms of their ambitions, that have been able to hold me up and support me in those moments
Yeah.
and those moments of doubt, and those moments where I'm sitting at my desk being like, oh, this is so hard. Like, I could just send Nana a voice note and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. She's like, you're fit, you're able, you can do this, you've got this, come on. And I'm like, okay.
Yes.
Having community has been
Yeah.
like game changing. It really
Yeah.
has. And so I
Yeah.
would say, if you are looking to make that move,
Yeah.
courage, yes, comes from you, but you also have the opportunity to get support, that people, so that other people can hold you up in your
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you might have the courage today and you made a decision, and then next week you're like, I don't know.
Woo!
I
Woo!
don't know. So you
Woo!
need the people to remind you, to be like, hey, remember who you are and what you said you can do, and we are here to support you. And I think that's a
That's
big
right.
piece.
That's right. That is humongous, 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 humongous. Like it just, I can't tell you the number of times where I've made investments in programs, and like you said, the different types of investment, right?
Mm,
Investing in your skill for whatever your expertise is, right? But then also investing in the things that are going to build up your personal development, your professional development, right? Like those other pieces. Like you can't have one and not the other,
yeah.
right? Like you're just, it's just not a recipe for success the way that you ultimately desire it to be. And I think that one of the best things is like when you get into those spaces and you start working with these other people and learning about these other people, you're like, oh, I found my tribe. Like I find people
Mhm.
that are like minded, and are go getters, and like and yes, because let me tell you, the reciprocation of the WhatsApp notes. Voice notes be real, y'all. When you are like, oh my God, I just did this thing and I think it's awful and it didn't work. What am I gonna do?
Yep.
And like who are you gonna call? Who's on that short list of people to reach out
Who get it?
to
Who get it?
who get it?
Get it?
Who get it? Who get it? That you don't have to explain a million and one things to, but they just understand. And I think that's just something like communities is, it goes without saying, but it needs to be reiterated. And I think you always want to even just be evaluating who's in your community,
Yeah.
like who are the people. And there might be some gaps, there might be some areas where you're like, man, I don't have anybody who I can call that's going to give me the pep talk. Okay. Portia said in the comment, Black women's decade of phenomenalness. We're over it, right? Like, who you got to have the people that are
Yeah.
going to remind you of your phenomenal ability. Like, you have to have those people. You want to have them readily available to hit up. If you don't have that, that's a gap. That's an area we need to build that up. We got to figure that out. You got to
Yeah.
find those people.
Sometimes you have to invest in that. Sometimes it isn't
Yeah,
that you can just find the people.
that's
The
real.
reason why I found my people was because I invested in something that we all like had a common goal around. And because you've got
Mhm.
a common goal around it, you have synergy. And then from there, it's like, okay, who do I connect with within this community? And then you can build your relationships. And so sometimes it's about positioning yourself. And people are often afraid or reluctant to make investment and say, like, do I need this? Do I not? It isn't always just about like what you're going to get. It's also about who will I get access to.
Mm.
And doors will open through people. Like people will introduce you to people. People will bring
Ah,
you on their platform.
but listen, let's
Like
listen. Yes, I love that so much. Like people are the ones who open the doors.
people open doors. Doors don't open
People,
themselves. Like
ugh,
open doors.
come on. The people open the doors, y'all. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Um, because we all need that. We all need somebody who's gonna open the door and say, yo, come through. Like I saw this thing over here, and you have got to be a part of it, right? Like you need that person who's going to like make way for you,
Yeah.
right? You have to have that. Courtney says such a good point, Janine. I 100% agree, especially as Black women. We need sponsorship for access, right? Exactly. Access is everything because it's like that, like Courtney said, especially for Black women, like it's never about a question of your ability. Like you can do it. We are qualified. We got degrees out the wazoo. Like we are opening business ups at rates faster than anyone else. We are capable. But when you make investments that allow you to get closer to being in rooms where your impact can get further, your reach can get deeper, like that's when to me, like that's probably one of the most courageous things that you could do to stand up for yourself
Yeah.
to further your own career is to like really push to get those doors of access open for yourself. And it is not easy but it is the thing that we give a lot of focus and energy to, and need other support and other allies to do that too.
Yeah, 100%.
So real, so good. Okay, so as we wrap up, give some guidance to some of the women out there who are in any space in their career. They might be working in corporate, they might want more money, they might want the raise, they may be entrepreneurs, they may be wanting to start their own business. But I think one of the biggest things for me that I know with Janine is like, Janine does not struggle to be seen or heard. Like she stands in her expertise. Like she stands with conviction. She is authentic. She knows who she is. Like she will break it down. She'll give you strategy in a heartbeat and be like, okay, all right, so this is what I'm hearing you saying. This is what I think you should move forward with. I think this is gonna, and the next thing you know, you got a 5-point plan. So
I love it.
for women who are in that space where, like we talked about, where it just doesn't come so easily, or you might just be at a fork in the road and you're not sure how to take the next step to
Mm-hmm.
getting closer to the stuff in the I want it category.
Yeah.
What guidance would you offer?
So I think when you're in that space of like, oh, where should I go? What should I do? I think it's very, very important for you to lean into like, what do I bring to the table? And do an audit and pay attention to the value that you have already been getting for your organization or in your career. So often people are focused on the, like what I do generally, like I manage people or I write reports or I help with strategy. It's like, yes, but what does that actually mean for your organization? What impact has your contribution had? Because
Mm.
and you lean into it and you're like, you know what? I was working on like a $5 million or £5 million transaction, and I was the person that brought it all together, or I was the person that did this thing. And you correlate your input with the output that the organization or the industry or the person has experienced. You then start to value your contribution differently, because so often I see people overlooking, like they're telling me what they did, and I'm like, wait, slow down. You did what now? And like, oh yeah, I just worked on this project. I'm like, no, but how much was that? Like, how much revenue did that bring in for your company? And they're like, oh, it was just like 300,000. Wait, what? Where is this on your resume? Where is this on your CV? I don't see it on your LinkedIn profile. Oh, you haven't even acknowledged it.
Yeah.
Like you haven't even acknowledged it. So I think it's important. And this really does boost your confidence and it boosts your courage, because you start to see that your contribution is of value in the marketplace.
Yes.
So one, I would say lean into that to really help you to see what you can offer. And then it's about you saying to yourself, okay, like I have been contributing. I do have all of these things that I've been able to do. Where do I want to take things next? And why? And really unpacking like what is important to you and that the different areas. So if you think about a Venn diagram, when I work with clients who are not sure about what they want to do, like in the middle it's like ideal role. What goes into that is when you can align like your values, your interests, your strengths, and the impact that you want to make. So like the interest, the strengths, and the impact that you want to make. When there's overlap of those things, in the middle there is where you'll find the type of role or the type of position that you need to be in.
Okay, I want to make sure we get this in the chat for the people. So you said values,
Your values, your interests, your
interests.
strengths, and the impact that you want to make.
Wait, what was the one after interest?
Strengths.
Strengths.
Yeah. So when you can like think about those for yourself and really draw those out, where there's overlap of those things is where you need to be focusing your energies in terms of the next move. Because the reason why we're focusing on those things is that when those things are overlapped, that's where you find real fulfillment in the work that you're doing. If you're playing to your strengths and you're actually interested in what it is this company is doing and how they're serving the world, and if you are if it's aligned with your values, like if they're doing a type of work or offering a service or a product that's aligned with your values, you're going to show up differently. And if you can see the impact,
Yes.
because sometimes people are like, I want to make more impact. What does that mean to you? Like for me, impact is I am directly working with someone and I can see that my contribution has made a difference to their lives. For others, impact is knowing that I'm a cog in a wheel, but this whole organization is making a difference in this industry.
Right.
Ways of making impact, but which one is it for you? If you don't know that, then you don't know to seek it.
Ooh.
So yeah,
That last one took me out. Um, really being clear on what does impact mean for you.
yeah,
I love that. Like, and it's so funny. Like, I mean, I'm thinking about that even for myself. I'm just like, you don't. Sometimes you're going and you're moving and you're working, and then it is when you slow down that you are able to speed up, because just
yes,
to slow down to say, well, what does the impact mean for me? Because what it meant for you 5 years ago, come on, 10 years ago, 20, it's not the same for
yeah,
now and what you desire for the future. It's not the same thing.
yeah.
And which is okay, because we already established people change their minds.
It's
Okay, hashtag.
okay. Bring it all back.
Right, right, right. And you are in that group of people, and it's okay. Like,
Okay.
it's okay. It's okay for you
Okay.
to change your mind.
Yeah.
I love this. Look, I put that in the chat. Like, y'all got assignments. Did y'all see the assignments you got? You got to do an audit of your values, interests, strengths, and impact. Okay, draw up that Venn diagram. Like, if you know you're feeling stuck or uncertain about what your next move is or how you make impact, if you heard that and that gave you pause and you had to think about that for a second, I highly encourage you to do that exercise. Like, you, and even if you feel like you do know, just check in with yourself. Like, make sure you're aligned. Janine talk a lot about alignment. Are you aligned with that impact? Are you aligned with your values? Right? Is what you do, your occupation on a daily basis, is it aligned? Right? Anika said she got her homework. Where's the intersection for me? Exactly, right? That's the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that intersection? Courtney saying so true. We as people are constantly evolving. So good. What I wanted even 6 months ago is a bit different than what I want now.
Right.
Absolutely. Right?
That was like
Absolutely.
check in. You need to be able to check in.
Yes. Okay, Janine. Now you see the people already got their homework assignments out. They like, okay, executive coach, please tell me how I can lead my life in an amazing direction. So if people are interested in connecting with you, and even further, if you're ready to make an investment in yourself and you are looking for some help in this space around your career, tell the people how they can learn more about working with you.
Yeah, sure. So connect with me on LinkedIn. Go over to my profile and connect. And then if you go to my website, which is www.careerchangemakers.com, that's where you can connect with me. And I have a podcast called the Career Changemaker Podcast on iTunes,
Mhm.
Spotify, and all the places. So if you want to like listen into some other gems that I can drop for you, I would say tune in and subscribe to the podcast as well. So yeah, those are the places.
I website in the chat and the Career Changemaker podcast on all the outlets. Check them out. And aren't my friends fabulous though? I mean, just listen. You are some of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So make those 5 people
I love you so much.
good. Um, let's give it up for Janine. Thank you, friend. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you so much for
on.
having me, Nana. It's been a blast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning
Yes.
in on International Women's Day. Go ahead, be great, and hopefully connect with you soon.
Definitely. And you got shout outs already. Anika said, invest with Janine. She's a phenomenal coach. Come prepared to do the work to get the results you deserve. I
Oh,
love that. We're going to close on that. Y'all have a fabulous rest of your International Women's Day. Bye.
bye.